Put away the angry face. Went through a pretty hard labor, got induced, and the epidural ran out like like at midnight, and she gave birth at like 7 a.m. Yeah, she doesn't have a mom. Let's just put it out there, okay? She didn't have that family support. So when we got married and had a kid, she was entering my family. Well, how can you enter a family when there's a brick wall?
It's an interesting feeling of not only living life for yourself, but living life for someone else.
Yeah.
I'm really curious on that journey of love. You mentioned that you went through this transformation prior to it. As you kind of enter in high school, everyone's trying to reinvent themselves during high school, right? Because this is the time. It's like, ooh, new year, new me, right? Type of thing. You go through this summer of transformation, right? Thanks to your boy Sam. He got your back. And this is like junior into senior year. And this is kind of the time where did you meet her beforehand or after? Or
I met her senior year. And because what did we do? We graduated 2011, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this must be in 2010?
Yeah, because I didn't date her when we were juniors. I met her when we were seniors, because when we were seniors in chambers, concert choir and chambers were merged, right?
Yep.
So she was in concert choir and we were in chamber singers.
Oh, love it.
And so that's how we met. February 18th. That's our anniversary. And we got married on that day because I'm stupid and I can't, remember too many dates at a time. But she actually picked it. She was just like, let's get married on our date anniversary. And I was like, yes. I love this idea. Excellent idea.
This is great.
It's great because it's right next to Valentine's Day, so it's almost like she gets two.
How would you describe your wife?
Very passionate.
Passion is a very strong word.
Passionate for herself, passionate for me. Very direct. She speaks in plain terms. She doesn't try to, hide anything between the lines. It's straight.
It's kind of the blessing and the curse a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
That's for sure, yeah? Because you love it when someone you can see a heart on your sleeve, right? But sometimes it's like, damn, that kind of,
Well,
I could say that a little nicer.
When you're me as an adventurer, okay, think about it. So,
shoot,
I'm a knight.
Okay.
All right.
Love it.
Let's just put that. I'm a knight.
Right.
Okay. I go out. I'm tasked to do such and such every single day. So to everyone out there, I am the ghoul knight. I go out. You call upon me. You summon me. I get the job done. I do it right.
Get it.
When I go home, I'm not the knight. I'm Cole. Cole, when you're here, you need to be husband and dad first. You need to throw away that whole knight bullshit because that's not you when you're home. You need to be father, husband, Cole when you're home. And I'm getting better at it.
Sure.
But it's because she tells me in plain English, not this like, oh, well, no, it's like, no, dude, get in here, love us, be present while you're here, and that's all she wants. She doesn't want anything mysterious or, I don't have to seduce her. It's just it's straightforward. Another way to describe her, imagine like the most amazing porcelain sculpture you could think of. Okay, of like a ship on an ocean, but you know that it's porcelain.
Some rocky waves.
No, it's just as well put together as she is, and as beautiful and just like strong as she is. She's very strong-willed. She's like, don't interview her. You would want to, but her life story is just like incredible. A total story of redemption. She's battled through stuff that would make a grown man like me throw up. She's been through it. So when she's at home, she wants to be somewhere where it's just nice and peaceful.
Sure.
Everything has its place, and if everything flows, it flows. And I think I love her very much because she's a lot like my mom, where everything's good, and when it's good, it's good. And then when it's not good,
you're going to hear about it.
Oh, it's, you know.
I call them the glass cannons.
There's a third nuclear bomb.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just a button away. You know, give me a reason. But I think it's important. It's definitely navigating children. You're gonna need that sense of that duality there. You know.
Oh, you know what? She raised our first son just like amazing. Everyone tells. You know, I'm the one that goes out. So everyone tells me all the time how awesome my kid is. And I got to tell them, look, dude, I work all day. I go home. I pay the bills. All right. She's a stay-at-home mom. She's been a stay-at-home mom since day one. She has had to change every diaper. Well, unless I'm there.
Sure.
You know, make sure the kid is fed, clothed, clean, happy, which she did every single day. There was never a bad day. There was never a day where I thought, like, you know, there was something wrong. No. Like, she is an incredible mom, and because of that, we have an amazing, very well put together son, and she's more than likely going to do it again, except better, you know, which...
Because you learn.
You know, we were kids. We were 18.
Yeah.
And now we're 29. Like, she's... All this stuff is just coming back in waves, and I'm remembering little things, and she's remembering, like, every single step of the way, every milestone. You know, and our 6-month-old, I mean, he's just like a bright little, just laughing ball of love. And I tell everyone, it's just like, dude, it's not me, it's her. She did all that, and she does all that. And even with everything that she has to go through, personally, she is the best mom because she could put all that aside, and she can always put the kids first. You know, when we were going camping. She had everything packed. She made sure the kids were just, like, excellent, set off, hygiene, clothes, snacks, you know, and then I tried taking us out to breakfast on Sunday, and I forgot the pacifier. Like, you know, it's just, she just can go above and beyond as a parent, and as a spouse, I mean, she's always just taking care of me, taking care of the home, and then all she asks that I come home and just, you know, put away the angry face.
Give some of that love. I'm curious here. You mentioned that you kind of have children, but you were also a teenager, right? I would consider you an adult, right? 18, you know what I mean? But like that was like once you turn 18. It wasn't even like you had like a break. It was like literally.
I was like 5 months into being 18.
Yeah, like that's like whoa.
I was married and a dad.
I'm curious here. How did you see the world at this point? Because you're graduating high school, right? The one person that you can seek a lot of advice from, normally from a male's perspective, especially a young male, is your father. But your father is sick. Is at least it's not like abrupt, right? It's not like we had no clue this was happening.
No, he was sick for a couple years.
Okay,
yeah.
And did he instill in like? Did you get like some like, hey, this is the plan? And I take at least your mother was hopefully able to kind of help coach that through, or was it just you two having just like, cool, we're gonna have to figure this out together?
You know what? Growing up, my dad would always kind of drop hints like this is what a good husband or dad would do, and it was always just very randomly just like sprinkled, and I could just remember hearing his voice a couple times like Thanksgiving. I helped clean up, put everything away, take care of the house, and he was just like, that's a good job. It's good. That's something a good husband would do. I was like 13 going, yeah, I just wanted everyone to leave my house so I could, go to bed because I just ate turkey and I want to crawl in bed and sleep. Or, I don't know. I mean, I don't think my dad was... He knew he was going to have a grandkid, and but he was very sick like towards the end.
Sure.
And that's when he found out. He maybe September to November, so that's only 2 months.
Right.
And his health just like declined.
Sure.
My mom, being that my dad was sick, now she was working full time. So when she would come home, and she would try to make dinner and You know, she would give me and my wife a little bit of support, but she was more focusing on, like, you know, my younger brother.
He's still in high school.
Yeah, he was still in high school, and I don't think my sister was living at home. I think she moved out by that time.
How old is your sister? How older than you?
33.
Oh, okay. She's 5 years. 4 or 5 years.
4 years.
4 years. Okay. So, I think you had a lot of experience helping your sister, helping your brother. I think the managing of the kids was not, I don't think, the hard part. I think it was like kind of your relationship with like you and your spouse that would have been like some really key things that you could have gained. Did you have any kind of really good examples of kind of like that husband-wife dynamic? Do you feel like your parents really had that kind of dynamic going together entering that world? Because you got married and had the kid graduated, married, kid, career, all at this, like, it's just like this.
Oh yeah, it was quick. Yeah.
It was a lot of like, that's a lot to kind of set on someone's shoulders, you know? How are you doing kind of like, how are you dealing with all that? Do you feel like you were, I hate to say this, prepared?
Oh, not at all. Because I was working. So I started working before we graduated, part-time. Excuse me. And then graduation, cool. Partied for a little bit. Got pregnant. So right then I was just like, all right, well, I got some time. You know. Then dad. And I was like, oh, well, man, that was kind of out of nowhere.
It's quick, yeah.
You know, and then Christmas, terrible. New Year's, And, you know, I did the proposal in December, and then it was just like, I was so focused on getting that wedding dialed in, you know, and trying to scrape together whatever money I could. And now that we talk about it, my wife was just like, dude, all I wanted to do was go to Vegas. And everyone else, like, took over the wedding, and you basically fronted the bill. And I was like, yep. I would have totally loved going to Vegas, too, with my pregnant wife. And we can't drink.
Right.
You know. And then we had the baby in May. And I remember taking her, went to St. Bernardine's Hospital. So the lead up to that, if anyone here has a pregnant spouse, they are going to say the gnarliest, most hateful things to you that you never thought would ever come out of their mouth in that day leading up to the delivery. And you're like, dude, you are not prepared for it. You will never be prepared for it. All you have to do is just grit your teeth and say, it's okay, honey. Don't worry. I'll take care of you. We'll be fine. We'll get there. You know, just keep breathing with her. And so I got to do that twice, which was cool. So first time, St. Bernardine's Hospital, which, not an amazing hospital. You know, it's right next to a cemetery, which is cool.
Yikes.
Fitting.
It's like, yo.
You know, she went through a pretty hard labor, got induced, and the epidural ran out like like at midnight, and she gave birth at like 7 a.m. Yeah, so it was pretty terrible. And, you know, the recovery wasn't amazing. So that was like Friday to Sunday, and I was back to work on Monday.
Getting it.
You know, and I feel terrible for that now looking back on it, because I was so scared I couldn't provide that I didn't take time off to help my wife recover, and I didn't take time to bond with the baby in the first couple weeks. I was just like so hell-bent on I needed to have money, because now I have, you know, I still lived with my mom, but I was saving up to buy us a new car, I was saving up to pay insurance, you know, trying to help with bills at the house. So I made that decision, which, you know, looking back on it, I could have just said, no, dude, I'm having a kid. Sorry, job. Like, I know I've only been working here for a year, but I'm having a kid. I need to be home, and I made the decision not to. Which I think really, you know, was kind of like the wrong way to start that whole thing. Even though our relationship had started the year prior, I feel like that was when everything actually happened, was once the baby was born. And then I was coming home and trying to, you know, I only worked a couple blocks away from home. So I'd race home real quick as soon as I clocked out, go try to take care of the baby, give my wife a break, you know, change diapers, do bottles, do dinner, you know, and my mom, she was just so overwhelmed because she just lost her husband.
Jeez.
You know, she really did not make it, like, cool. you know, and then so like my wife and my mom just had this hard, really was bad, you know, and when you're 18, I'm a married 18-year-old, but I'm still a kid.
Sure.
So now I'm making like even the fucking weirdest decision I've made, which is, do I pick my wife or my mom? You know, and so we moved out. And even that wasn't like a great thing because, you know, it took my wife begging me, please, we need to move out. Please, I can't be here.
Sure.
You know, so me, I wasn't great. Wasn't prepared.
It's a hard thing, you know. When you're 18 trying to make a decision. The reason I bring this up because I'm really curious here is because our chamber singers was really close. Like, we had a really close kind of like kind of family dynamic that was going on. The way we interacted with each other, the way that the way we got along, the how much fun we were having, just kind of like we were definitely kids. And so when I went to college, right? Because I went off to San Francisco, we all just like disappeared.
Yeah.
Like everything that we built, all the relationships that we built, all the bond that we built, all the support systems that we created was just gone, like literally overnight. And I had no clue. I had no clue. But I do remember asking like people, hey, do you know what's going on with Cole? Do you know what's happening with Cole? It's like, people were like, nah, I don't know. You were dealing with all this on your own. Who was the support system? Anybody there to be like, yo, Cole, you good? You need any, like any, or you just trying to like carry it on your, like, hey, I'm going to make it happen.
Really, it was me and my wife.
Just you two.
That was the primary. I mean, you know, once we moved out, she found the apartment in Colton, which was awesome. And at that point, I was working at the Colton store of that business, so it worked out really well. But she, you know, I would just call her as much as I could throughout the day and make sure she was okay. You know, and I only worked a couple blocks away, so sometimes I'd sneak off on lunch just to go in and give her a hug and a kiss and just take the baby out of her arms for 2 minutes, just, you know, give her a breath. And then come home at the end of the day and try to, you know, help her, and she would also give me the same. You know, I'd come in through the door and, you know, she'd just be like, hey, are you okay? You want to talk about it? You know, is there anything you're concerned about? Because of the whole dynamic between my wife and my mom, which kind of sucked. I didn't really talk to my mom for like 6 months. We got over it. But my uncle Fernando, my dad's brother, and his wife Anna, they lived in Ontario, so that's where my cousins were. We actually ended up having them help us out a lot.
That's awesome.
They had a Costco membership, so we were, you know, asking them, hey, you know, if I give you some cash, can you please go get formula and diapers? You know, if we needed to be somewhere, you know, they were usually the first ones we'd ask, like, hey, can you watch our son? You know, and it was cool. It was nice, and you know, they really helped us out. And then Anna, my Aunt Anna, she started talking to my mom a little bit, and that kind of opened that bridge. She was just like, well, what's up with you guys? Like, why aren't you guys talking? Why isn't Cole coming to you? And I didn't really let it on to my mom very much, like in the beginning. But then, you know, recently, maybe in like the last couple, 3-5 years, it did come out. We was just like, look, Mom, you like totally made Shayla feel.
Sure.
Can you edit out my wife's name?
Sure.
Totally made my wife feel just like a human pile of garbage.
Sure.
You know. And she doesn't have a mom. Let's just put it out there, okay? She didn't have that family support. So when we got married and had a kid, she was entering my family. Well, how can you enter a family when there's a brick wall? You know, and I'm the only one outside of the wall. You know, my sister, I don't know what her deal was, but she also was not like the biggest fan of my wife. She didn't do anything. We went to school together. Great mom. You know, she lived with us. My wife took better care of my dad than anyone. You know, she was going to school at Chaffee, taking the bus down. My dad was sitting in his chair. She would take care of him. She'd bring him lunch, you know, help him to the bathroom, hang out with him, you know, she'd watch old John Wayne movies and stuff. My dad taught her how to write checks, do banking. And, that, you know, it's just like, dude, why did you guys hate on my wife so much?
Sure.
You know? And all she ever did was just go and help. And that really just like, you know, as I started growing, the decisions became a lot easier.
Sure.
Holidays were always hard because, you know, she had a mother figure in Fontana, and then I had my mom. Well, they didn't really like each other very much.
Sure.
Mostly because of my mom. But so holidays were always just like a nightmare of coordinating, like go over there, go over here, try to split time. And that's the kind of stuff that my parents did too, because every time we went to a holiday, go out to Monterey Park first, hit West Covina on the way back, then come home. And now I'm starting to have the same, you know,
dilemma.
Well, now it's the same conversations that I remember my parents having, like, why? I hate being there. Why? And, you know, now we're doing it, and mostly it is me, you know, because I feel like I have this permanent connection that I need to maintain, but I also feel like I can't put up that boundary of like, yo, dude, I'm 30, I love you, but I also have my kids and my wife. I need to break that, like, not break that boundary, I need to put that boundary up, like.
Man, it keeps coming back. I was talking to Sarah about this, but it's just such a good quote. I was talking to my dad. He told me this quote. He said, you have to put boundaries, because without boundaries, right, I don't know how to love you and love myself at the same time. And if someone keeps overstepping boundaries and you let them, then you kind of feel as if like you kind of look like you almost hate yourself in a way, because you're just letting someone do something that you don't want to tolerate or don't want to do. I think you should set boundaries 100%. Set your standards, set your principles, set these things that say, hey, look, this is the way I operate. This is how my family's going to operate, right? And if you want to be a part of, them life, you have to be able to understand that this is the world you're going into. If I go to China, there's rules, okay?
Yeah.
If I go to Korea, there's rules, right? So when you come here, when you interact with me, there's rules. And so it's a whole different dynamic. But it just helps so much because you have set these rules, you set these standards, you set these principles. As long as someone doesn't overstep that, then you feel much better at yourself. So it's interesting as you get older, you start learning. But I also find really cool about what you're explaining as well is that this is a whole development cycle that you're going through in a short amount of time. You're becoming wiser, but you're also getting these glimpses of time at being able to understand what it was like when you were a kid. And it was such a while ago. It's not like, when people have children in their like 30s or 40s or whatever, right? It's been a long time since they're kids. So they lose the touch of like what it feels like to be a kid, or lose the touch of what it feels like to be a son, or lose the touch of what it feels like to be a dad, or not dad, but like a brother or sister, right? And so because of that, they judge, they use, there's a great poem that I like, but essentially they say is that like I'm measuring my kid based off the yardstick that I measure myself currently, which is a whole, like, dude, like 18, 30 years old to judge someone is so crazy. And your mother, I don't know how old she is, but she's judging you as if she's like 50 or 60 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm just like 18, I'm just 20 years old. Like, you're measuring with this stick that I'm like, man, like, hold up. But I would like to just say it seems like she was dealing with a lot of grief, and that grief she took out on others, and that's rough,
Oh yeah, for sure. No, it's been the last couple of years, it's really smoothed out.
Sure. That's good to hear.
Because my mom and wife finally smoked some weed together and
get excited,
kind of hashed it out, and just my mom finally broke down and said, look, I'm sorry, and you paid your dues, like, you are my daughter, and you've been a great wife, and you've been a great mother to my grandkids. My wife hasn't told her fully, but, she has said, like, look, you didn't make it easy, but you are my mother-in-law, and you always will be.
Sure.
So it has smoothed out just a little bit, but there's so much more time ahead of us. I think it's going to get better, and especially with the new baby. Now my mom really wants to be involved, and that trust is there now where it wasn't there the first time around.
Do you need to take that? We can take a quick break.
No. I was just checking just to make sure I'm not getting yelled at.
Okay. Just making sure. Yeah, you're good, brother. Let me know. So you're now much older. You were kind of describing your kind of children's dynamic and the type of personalities, because he's about 11, right?
He's 11, yeah.
if you remember, right, how were you at 11 versus him? And how was it, growing up with, like, you know what I mean? You're almost growing up with, each other. It's going to be very cool when he's 18 or 36. It's going to be a very interesting dynamic, seeing that kind of, like, your young parents. It makes it really
I'm waiting
fun.
for when he's 21 and I'm 39. That's when I really need him the most.
It's time, boy.
It's time, man. You're going to order drinks for me. Man. When I was 11, I was definitely a stay-at-home kid. Just liked things quiet, liked my music, liked my video games. He's doing the same exact thing.
Wow.
It's just, he likes to stay at home. If his friend comes over, he'll be social. If he, we got a pool in the HOA, he'll jam down there with a couple friends. They'll hang out.
Excited.
And he just likes coming home, and he likes sitting down. He loves taking care of his younger brother. I mean, it's almost annoying sometimes because it's just like, bro, I'm holding him as he's crying. You don't need to take him from me. Like, I'm doing the dad thing. And he's like, but I want to because I know how to make him not cry. And I'm like, well, you know what, man? What if I want to know how to make him not cry? Okay.
I love it.
But yeah, I mean, being 18 and having a newborn definitely just put me back in my place where it was just like, I have no idea what's going on. And for my wife to also be 18 and to give birth, all I had to do was go to work and come home. She had to be home and legitimately make sure this child thrived.
Sure.
And to the situation she came from, her whole career in high school and growing up, and then to be a mom at 18, like, dude, that she went through some business.
Yeah, but hey, you're there with her though.
I tried. I tried my best.
And I mean, I get it. You know what I'm saying? But like, that it takes two.
It does take two.
It does take two, and so so much, appreciation, and I don't want to say kudos, such a bad word, but so much appreciation and love needs to go to your wife. But I think there's a little bit to give to yourself as well as you've gone through this journey, because I understand kind of the dynamic you felt about yourself when you were kind of, because I was close with you, especially within music.
Yeah,
it's a big part. But you mentioned that like you still was this thing. You still was going out to LA, still trying to make it happen. You still were chasing after dreams, but also taking care of the place. You're trying to manage all these things all at the same time. And I'm curious of kind of like yourself. How did you view yourself as you were growing throughout this side? Do you kind of feel like there was this kind of tug and pull of kind of like this seek for independence, but also being a parent, but also being a son, and also being like, do you kind of feel like everyone was pulling in a lot of directions?
If I looked at what I was doing then, now, as 30-year-old Cole, I was doing everything incredibly selfishly. In the moment, I was always telling myself, like, I need a break. Going out to LA to play music and disappear for a weekend was a break. Get invited to a house party in Fontana, that was a break. And, if I could call myself on the phone and say, dude, you have a wife and a kid at home, and you are their only connection to planet Earth, you should probably be there for these weekends and for these nights and not do that. But as 18, 19-year-old Cole, I still had plenty of desire to, if there was booze, if there was somewhere to be, if there was something to do, I wanted to do it, and now it's, and in my mind, it was just like, well, this is my time. But looking back on it, that's why I really doubt on myself a lot, because that was the poor attribute of my being a dad, was because I was young, I wasn't thinking of the family that I just created, even though I put up this whole like facade of I have an apartment, I have a job, I'm taking care of my wife and kid, I'm, paying for everything. But all of that was just like a total, that's what was said and done. But there was always this like really selfish black pit in me that was just like, oh, dude, got a phone call, got to go. And I'm trying really hard not to do that this time around. So thinking about it, like, yeah, dude, everyone asks me too all the time, what's it like? And I would tell them straight up, well, I'm 22 and you're 22. So we're both here at the same party and I can't drive home because I'm too drunk. And you also can't because we're both 22-year-olds and we both planned on sleeping over at our friend's house who's also 22. But I should be at home because I'm not a 22-year-old college student. I'm a dad.
But I feel as if, like,
but in the moment, I was like cool about it.
I understand,
but as I'm older now, I'm just like that.
I think there's a dynamic of putting yourself in a position where you're also trying to understand where's the guidance, right? You know what I mean? You kind of put this into context, it's there. You're figuring things out on your own. Your mother's not really able to be there, 'cause she's dealing with her thing. You do have an uncle that does help sometimes, and there's a lot of tension at home, so you kind of obviously need escape. I think both do, right? But the goal is to do it together, right? The goal is to be able to have those interactions together.
We should have done, we did a lot together as the starting out, because May, 18 years old. Okay, so September we both moved out to Colton together. Probably within the first year, I sent my wife to Michigan, South Carolina, Oregon, Chicago, Washington.
Jeez.
Because she had good friends online, and they would say, hey, come out. So I would do what I could, scrape money together to help her go out. If that wasn't her thing and my thing was going out to LA, we did spend a lot of weekend time together. I'd try to get the family out to the park, scrape some money together, go get a steak or something, and really just those first years starting out, it was just, besides the little bit of help I got from my aunt and uncle, which was tremendous.
Huge.
For being 18 and just like, dude, $700 rent on $10 an hour. I mean, it was just like impossible, but we did it. And my wife, being as intelligent as she is, she actually did a lot of the budgeting. So not only was I was making the money, she was helping us spend it wisely. We always had food in the fridge. Sam, being a college student, he came out to our apartment a couple times, and he has money to burn. But he told me once, he was like, I love coming to your house because there's always food in the fridge and there's always a blanket, and the place is clean, and that's all from her. And
man, you have so much respect for her. It's so awesome. One of the things I love about doing these stories is so often that you can hear it in someone's voice with how much just like appreciation that it comes in time. It comes in time. It's something that's hard. Everything, even right now, it's hard to see things. But that's kind of the goal of doing this, to hear the kind of story of like yourself and how things have gone. I do have one final question before we encapsulate this. Your family, right? You have this kind of Mexican side of you, right? You have this kind of Italian, let me get this right, German side of you as well.
Yeah.
You have this family that you seen your grandfather with this kind of funny, outgoing type of mentality. Grandmother is a little quiet, but she's stern. She's with the cut. Even your grandmother and grandfather from your other side as well, being a World War II veteran, and also seeing your grandmother Nani, I think, right?
Yeah, Nani. Yeah.
Out in West Covina, were you able to? Because I know your father was the kind of connection that was lost, but mother is a little bit. Your uncles seem to help a lot, but did you ever get to kind of be able to touch base with them throughout the kind of journey after 18 with your grandparents?
Oh, as far as like my grandparents' history?
No, I mean in terms of like interacting with them from kind of 18 on. Did you ever get to be able to go and be around? I'm sorry, I don't know if they're still around or not, but I was assuming that they were.
Oh, well, Sonny and Gus, they had both passed away, and my nanny, she actually passed away maybe like 2 years ago, and so we went up to Auburn to go see that. She was like super Catholic, so we went to big Catholic mass burial, and that was a big reconnection because my mom's side of the family, the 7 siblings, had not been together for like 5 years or something like that, maybe more.
Right.
So to see all of them come together and they all had the stories about their mom, and then I also got to see my cousins who I had probably also never seen in 10 years. Sally, the cousin from Arizona, she was just like the black sheep, no one knew anything about her. She didn't even look like the same girl. My cousin Joey and Paula couldn't come down from Washington, but Joey did. He was Joe now. And Nathan, goofy little kid, now he's like a total just like music genius engineer. And we all just, it was finally a good way for a terrible way for the family to get together, but it was great because we all came together because of my nanny, and
I guess it's good to reconnect with family again. It gives you that sense of like, okay, what's important.
It does, and it actually, because my wife was with me too for that funeral, she got to meet that side of the family, and I think it gave her a good perspective on my mom, of how she grew up. And she's like, dude, your Uncle Peter, the crazy cat guy, he's so cool. I love him. And, your crazy Uncle Raymond and, your Aunt Paula, like, they're just so, she's like, I get it now. And yeah, you're right. It is. I think it's something everyone should do is, as much as you might have some kind of bad history. Well, if it's bad, it's bad. You can't fix bad blood. But,
Sure.
If you have a dispersed family, just that little bit of reach out. Don't wait for a funeral. You should just, at the very least, throw a line. My cousin in Ontario, I didn't know she got married to a dude. It's not her kid, but it's his. But I didn't know that. My other cousin from Monterey Park, he's like a political scientist or something. But I don't know what his sister's doing. But my sister probably does, and my brother probably knows more too. It's just,